This is essentially what we have to do every time we are asked to calculate the final accounts. And final accounts term includes both trading and profit and loss account and balance sheet. So like I told you, this is a very, very simple trial balance that we are dealing with and the situation as well. So now I'm going to be sharing the format of the trading account with you as it is normally done. Okay, this is too short a trial balance for us to be using for preparation of final accounts. But wherever you go or you get a trial balance, this is the process that you have to follow. Okay, now let us look at the format for the trading and profit and loss account. Okay, so what you see on your screen now is what is known as the format of a trading account. Now when I gave the heading trading and profit and loss account, I had included both parts in one format. Like I again mentioned that we had a very short trial balance, so usme we did not have enough detail to make a distinction between trading and profit and loss account. So the term trading and profit and loss account actually includes two stages of calculation of profit. The first stage is the trading account where we calculate the gross profit, and then in the second stage we convert the gross profit into net profit. Okay, so this is the format for the first stage where we, based on the information given to us, try to calculate as accurate a profit as possible. Okay, the first thing that you have to focus on when we talk about accuracy is the fact that the question that we just discussed for the trial balance, we compared a sales of 95,000 with a purchases of 72,500. But in this comparison, we don't know whether all the product that was purchased for 72,500 has actually been sold. So there should be an adjustment for the number of units which are still remaining unsold. Otherwise, you end up comparing, say, the selling price of 100 units to the cost price of 150 units. And then you say we made a profit or we made a loss. So logically speaking, that will be inaccurate. Because of that, we have an adjustment for what is known as opening stock and closing stock in the trading account. Okay, so this is the format of the trading account. We're going to be using a more, you can say, simplified or abridged version of the trading account when we practice this question in class. Okay, so how are we going to go about it? Let me go back to my Excel sheet. Okay, so I'm now going back to my Excel sheet and I'm going to make the modifications in my trading account. So I'm going to give myself some space here. And what we are going to do here is I'm going to take away all the things which are not part of the trading account, and we'll start with writing down the format of the trading account. Please note this format. Okay, these are typical items that we start the trading account with every time. To opening stock. Opening stock is nothing but the number of units or the value of the product which you had at the beginning of the month of April. So because this was a new business, इनका opening stock नहीं था. But in case a business is already in operation, they will always have a certain amount of goods that are available for sale before you even make your first purchase. So on the left hand side, we write down two opening stock. After that, it is two purchases, right? And in the inner column, not the amounts column, but in the particular column itself, we will make an adjustment for this. So I'll write down the value of purchases in the inner column. The next line I write down less purchase return, less purchase return or return outwards. Like it is common with every person that is making a purchase, sometimes when we buy a product, we either don't like it later on or we find that it is not as good as it was promised to be. So we return a certain amount of product. So when a business returns product, you don't adjust it in the purchases account. You create a new account called as purchase return or return outwards account. Okay, so उसका balance आपको trial balance में मिलेगा, which is supposed to be deducted from the purchases account in the inner column, and then the final amount is supposed to be written in the final totals column. Okay, so purchase less purchase return. Similarly, on the right hand side, it will be buy sales, and when you sell product to your customers, some of them will also return the product to you. So like we did with purchase return, we will also not modify the sales account as such. We will use sales return account, return or return inwards account. ठीक है, once this adjustment has been made, the next thing we will look out for is buy closing stock. Okay, this will be given to you outside the trial balance in most of the cases as extra information. Closing stock means when we are preparing the trading and profit and loss account for the month of April, 1st of April को जितना product आपके पास था stores में, that is known as opening stock, and 30th of April को whatever is left over after having purchased multiple times during the month and sold multiple times during the month, that is known as your closing stock. So the moment we make the adjustment for opening and closing stocks, we end up comparing the selling price of a number of units to the cost price of a number of units. Otherwise क्या होता है, इसमें mismatch रहता है. Maybe you bought 1000 and you sold 800. So if I don't make the adjustment for opening and closing stock, I will end up comparing the selling price of 800 units to the cost price of 1000 units and then say my business is not making a profit. So in order to correct this inconsistency, we have an adjustment for opening and closing stocks. And like I mentioned, purchase and sales will also amount to some returns sometimes, and those are also adjusted in the trading part. Now, in addition to these, there are only two things that we'll consider as part of trading account. One is to carriage inwards, right? Carriage inwards means money that you spend on transportation of the product when it is brought into business. Okay, carriage outwards means जब product sale हो गया and you're sending it to the customer, whatever you spend on transportation is known as carriage outwards. Okay, so to carriage inwards or carriage inward is considered as part of trading account, and carriage outward is part of profit and loss account. Okay, so one is carriage inward. The next expense that you will consider as part of the trading account is wages. Okay, these are the only two expenses we will consider as part of trading account. Balance all the other expenses and incomes will be part of the second part of this account, which is known as the profit and loss part. Okay, so जब हम प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस अकाउंट बनाते हैं हम उसको दो स्टेजेस में बनाएंगे. द फर्स्ट स्टेज इज द ट्रेडिंग अकाउंट. सो वंस वी filled in the blanks or the rupee values for all these amounts, we'll total the two sides and calculate the difference. Okay, and like we did with the rough example that I told you, if the right hand side is more, you make a profit, and if the left hand side is more, you make a loss. And accordingly, you write it on the lighter side. So here in the format, I'm going to write down to gross profit. This will be written on the left hand side only when the right hand side is more, and here we write down by net by gross loss. अगर आपकी लेफ्ट हैंड साइड ज़्यादा है सो बाय ग्रॉस लॉस. ओके, सो जैसे ही आप ग्रॉस प्रॉफिट या ग्रॉस लॉस की एंट्री करते हैं दोनों साइड्स विल बी इक्वल एंड वी ड्रॉ अ डबल इसको वी शुड बी writing it here rather than at the top, and the two sides would be equal because gross loss would represent the fact that your left hand side is more and your right hand side is less, and gross profit would represent that your right hand side is more and your left hand side is less. So jo bhi situation ho, accordingly we make a gross profit or gross loss entry. Okay, so far so good. Any questions? Muskan, Tushar, any questions? You've understood so far? Okay. So from here then we go to the profit and loss account part. Now the second part हम इसी format को continue करेंगे. I'm going to put in more columns here. Now what are we going to do after the double line has been drawn in these two places? Okay. Now below this, we will start the profit and loss account part by transferring the profit or the loss to the side where it was. So profit आपका तब होगा जब right hand side ज़्यादा थी. So I write down by gross profit. Okay. And on the left hand side we write to gross loss. This is the first entry we make in the profit and loss account part of the trading and P&L account. Okay, by gross profit and by gross loss जितना भी amount of profit या loss है उसको यहाँ पे लिख देंगे. इसके ऊपर डबल लाइन है, इसका मतलब यहाँ से आगे जब हम ऐड करेंगे later on, we will not include anything that is written above the double line. So our calculations will start from either gross loss or gross profit. Okay. Now, whichever nominal accounts are left in our trial balance, other than carriage inwards, wages, purchases, whatever has been recorded in the trading account will not be rewritten again. These have already been accounted for. Okay. All nominal accounts that are left and have not been recorded in the trading account, they will now become a part of the profit and loss account. So things like to rent, like we had written, right? To salary and say by what was that? By discount. Okay. So whatever the nominal accounts which have not been included in the trading part will now be recorded in the profit and loss account part, and now the retotaling will be done of both the sides, and again the same situation, we either have a loss which gets written on the left and right hand side, and profit which gets written on the left hand side. So after all the expenses or nominal accounts have been recorded, we say to net profit or by net loss. ये हमें कैसे पता लगेगा? हम वापस से टोटल करेंगे डबल लाइन के नीचे वाले अमाउंट्स का in the profit and loss account, and we will compare the two totals. If our right hand side is more, that means we made a profit, and that profit will be called as net profit, right? That net profit will represent the difference in the total of the right hand side below the double line and the left hand side below the double line. Okay, and if by chance our left hand side is more, then there will be a net loss. So we will write the difference in the two sides as by net loss, and this net profit or net loss is what gets transferred to the balance sheet on the liability side. So the balance sheet that we are looking at is a sole proprietorship's balance sheet, meaning one owner in the business, and that is organized as a sole proprietorship. So in this case, we add the net profit to the capital account. Otherwise, it is shown on the liability side as a separate account called as profit and loss account. In companies and other organization formats, we will show it on the liability side. We will just not add it to capital. So जब भी किसी बिजनेस में प्रॉफिट होता है, उनकी बैलेंस शीट का वैल्यू बढ़ जाती है. Wherever there is a loss, the balance sheet value goes down. So if we look at this business and you remember the transactions we started out with, the person had invested 10 lakh rupees in his business, and he did a certain amount of purchasing and selling. At the end of the month, his balance sheet shows a total of 10 lakh 8,500. What does this mean? Yes? Realistically speaking, what does it mean? That the month of April has been good for this person. He has ended up making a profit of 8,500, which has led to the increase in value of his business from 10 lakh to 10 lakh 8,500. ठीक है, अगर उसको इसी पीरियड में लॉस होता तो उसके 10 लाख में से वैल्यू कम हो जाती to something less than 10 lakh. Okay. So does everybody get a clarity on the difference between profit and loss account and balance sheet, and how are we supposed to prepare it? Yes? Okay. No answers and no questions? You feel you can do it? I'm going to be sharing uh, one trial this thing trial balance with you, and you follow the same process that we have done in this class to see whether you're able to calculate the profit or loss in that particular situation. The simplest possible question I'll give to you, so that you just have to follow the instructions that we have discussed in this class to see if you're able to get to trading in profit and loss account and then the balance sheet. Okay, just give me a minute. Right, so this is a trial balance. Right, so this is a trial balance given to you, and in addition to the trial balance, you're given that the closing stock is valued at 7,929. Okay, so you can note down this particular trial balance and start using the process to find out how the trading and profit and loss account will be, and eventually move over to the balance sheet. So quickly note down these balances. They're available to you in the shared folder as well as the Moodle Classroom. It's the first question on the file name as Final Accounts Questions. Okay, so rather than noting down the question, let us start with the first stage of classifying. What are we supposed to do? Classify all the values in this particular trial balance as real, personal, and nominal. So capital is yes, class, real, personal, or nominal? Personal. Okay, so the same process you're going to follow here and try to do the trading and profit and loss account and balance sheet to whatever extent you've understood. But everybody must try this one question before the next class. Okay, so if Sir schedules an extra class with you, we'll let you know. Okay, thank you everyone. Just let me confirm whether I've gotten your attendance. Yes, I have your attendance. You're welcome.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.